Hi, everybody. It's Gerard Braud, and today we have messages for my friends in the Meeting Industry Council, folks in Meeting Planners International, and all the other meeting planners. And our hashtag today is hashtag crisis, because what I've been hearing from these folks is they're concerned about potential crises at their events. And I'm a crisis communications expert. My expertise is talking to people about how to develop a crisis communication strategy and, if necessary, how to talk to your stakeholders and doing media training. So that's why I'm sharing lessons with you today. Here's what we are concerned about. Social media. Every event now wants the attendees to tweet and to post to Instagram and to Facebook and to record videos. And the potential for a backlash with an ugly hashtag is getting huge. And the concern is going up because many folks in the meetings industry have told me that over the past 5 years, they have seen an incline in the number of types of what we would call ugly and uncouth and snarky evaluations. And what they were initially seeing in evaluations is now showing up with hashtags for your event name online. I belong to the National Speakers Association, and I started a conversation with some of my friends on our Facebook page about whether they have seen this trend. And ladies who have been speaking for decades are saying that they're now seeing comments about the pants they wear or the clothes they wear or their choice of shoes or their earrings or their hair, things that people would have never commented about once upon a time. We're also hearing from speakers who are saying that one word sets off a real firestorm. One lady was telling me that she was talking in marketing terms about how to build your tribe. And she was lambasted because she used the word tribe, which many consider to be an offensive phrase. I personally had a situation where one of my pivotal stories at the end of my presentation is about a project that I worked on with my daughters. And my daughters call me daddy. And I referred to it as a daddy-daughter project. And in the evaluation, someone was really upset because they don't need more daddies in their life. So it's this type of stuff that's going from snarky evaluation or hypersensitive evaluation to what could blow up on social media. So let me give you 5 steps. I always go through a 5-step process with my audiences on the 5 steps for effective crisis communications. So let me take you through that process right now. Here are the 5 steps that I would encourage you to do before your next event. Step number 1 is to have a vulnerability assessment. That's where you facilitate a conversation about all the things that could damage your reputation and your revenue. My definition of a crisis is an event that affects your reputation and revenue. And many situations start smoldering and have the ability to reach a flashpoint that would affect your reputation and revenue. That's where my concern is. In your vulnerability assessment, I want you to really list out all the things that could damage your reputation and revenue. Now, recognize that some of these crises could be natural disasters. You might have a tornado hit the facility where you're meeting, for heaven's sake. These days, with all the workplace shootings, you've got the potential for a mass casualty shooting actually to happen at your event, heaven forbid, but it's a reality that you now have to plan for. Those are sudden crises. The smoldering crises are when something goes viral on social media. We've reached the point at which social media is a double-edged sword. For all of that SEO juice, search engine optimization juice, and marketing juice, and trending juice that you've been trying to get, the downside is something can go viral because it's negative, because someone was sensitive to something that was said by one of those speakers that you spent so much time recruiting for your keynotes and your breakouts. Or you, as a meeting planner, might serve a meal that they're not happy with. I've seen that actually go viral. Speaking of vulnerabilities, the meals you serve could cause food poisoning. The chicken you have at lunch, the salad that you have back in the vendor exhibit hall could cause salmonella. All of these are potential crises. They could affect your reputation and revenue. Therefore, you want to list them out and, in good crisis management, If you can eliminate them before they happen, then you eliminate them. If you can't eliminate them, you go on to the next step, which is to develop a crisis communications plan. Now, some of you might think, do we really need a crisis communications plan? Is that overkill? And my advice would be, it's not really overkill, because the time that you invest to develop this will pay greater dividends than the financial impact of a single crisis that goes unchecked. So in a good crisis communications plan, I like to see a formula, a binder with all the instructions in chronological order to where you can read them and execute them in real time. And in 1 hour or less of the onset of the crisis, you can have a statement out to your audience, which brings us to step 2, which is having pre-written news releases. In every one of the plans I write, I always give the client 100 pre-written news releases right out of the gate. And those news releases cover all those things I described for you that are both sudden crises and smoldering crises. In fact, 6 of my news releases are just about social media issues that go bad. You know, a bad presentation can go viral in a heartbeat. So these statements, even though I treat them as news releases, this is the same statement that you could send to all of your attendees. You can blast it out, you can post it to your website, you can share a link on social media. If you're a large organization, you can actually send this very same statement out to all of your members who might not be attending the actual event. But it's critical that you have this, because within 1 hour of the onset of the crisis, you really need to be saying something. This document that I'm prescribing for you and suggesting for you also works as a wonderful script, so that your spokesperson can walk to the podium, read it, and then have a question and answer period, which brings us to the 4th step of good crisis communications, which is to media train some spokespeople. A lot of the conferences where I work, because I do media training, will ask me to come in during the board meeting before the event and to train their spokespeople, because quite often it should be the president of the organization, who is a volunteer member of the organization, who needs to take the stage and make a statement and handle the questions and answers. So media training teaches someone how to use these statements and how to use the language that's embedded in the statement as part of the answer during the question and answer session. And of course, if it were to escalate to become an event that the media descended upon your organization, such as salmonella, food poisoning, mass casualty, you would actually have to send that person out to talk to the real news media. And then step 5 in effective crisis communications is to do a crisis communications drill. Does this feel like overkill? I'm going to say no. In 3 hours, you can go through a drill exercise that is filled with anxiety and emotions that have all the realistic impacts you would face in the real day. And the purpose of a drill, and both the drill and media training, the purpose of both of these is to mess up in private so that you don't mess up in public. You might think you know how to manage the crisis, but you don't really know how to manage the crisis until you've been through one. Well, a drill should be able to put you through that. I know this is fast. I'm going to give you my phone number in case you want to call and ask a follow-up question. My phone number is 985-624-9976. That's 985-624-9976, and I can give you some more information. Also, if you need to go deeper into those 5 steps, I have a 5-step tutorial on my website. You're welcome to go to Braud, B-R-A-U-D, communications.com, and listen to that tutorial. It's 5 videos over 5 days, each about 10 minutes long, but they go into a deeper dive on those 5 steps if you need it. Look, I realize that those of you in the meetings industry put in a lot of hard work to make the event perfect. And now you've got one more thing to worry about. Let's start with at least 1 step. Start with that vulnerability assessment and then work your way through those 5 steps so that when you have your event, it's a perfect event. And at the end of the event, your reputation and your revenue remain intact. This is Gerard Braud. Thanks for your time.